July 1947. Dutch forces initiate Operation Product, targeting vital Republican resources.
July 21st, 1947. The fragile hope for a peaceful diplomatic transition to Indonesian independence was violently shattered. In the dead of night, the Dutch military launched a massive, coordinated offensive codenamed Operatie Product, known to history and the people of Indonesia as Agresi Militer Belanda I, the first Dutch military aggression. With tanks rolling across borders and fighter planes tearing through the tropical skies, the Netherlands unilaterally violated the Linggajati Agreement, a treaty signed just months earlier that had officially recognized the republic's de facto authority over Java, Madura, and Sumatra. The young republic, which had proudly declared its independence on August 17, 1945, suddenly found itself fighting for its very survival against a heavily armed modern European power. This was no longer just a localized colonial dispute, it was the spark of a nationwide defensive war. From the bustling streets of Yogyakarta to the remotest villages of the archipelago, an entire nation was forced to stand up, unite, and defend its newly found freedom against the return of colonial rule.
To understand why the Netherlands launched Operatie Product, one must look at the desperate economic state of the post-war Netherlands. Having suffered under Nazi occupation during World War II, the Dutch economy was crippled. They desperately needed the immense wealth of the East Indies, specifically the rubber, sugar, tea, and oil, to fund their own domestic reconstruction. The strategic objective of this offensive was clear: to bypass major political centers, dismantle the economic heart of the young Indonesian Republic, and seize control of these vital production areas. General Simon Spoor, the ambitious commander of the Dutch forces, believed a swift, overwhelming show of force would paralyze the Republic within weeks. Dutch armored columns, supported by superior air power and naval blockades, pushed deep into Republican territory in West Java, East Java, and parts of Sumatra. But how did the Republic respond to this sudden, massive breach of international diplomacy? Knowing they could not match the Dutch army in an open conventional war, the Indonesian military and political leadership pivoted. President Sukarno and Vice President Muhammad Hatta maintained a fierce diplomatic front, denouncing the invasion to the world, while General Sudirman ordered the military to prepare for a prolonged campaign. The strategy was simple but devastating: yield the main roads, protect the civilian population, and draw the enemy deep into a landscape they could never truly control.
The Dutch had the superior weaponry, the tanks, and the aircraft, but the Indonesian defense possessed a weapon that could not be manufactured: an unyielding, unified spirit of resistance. Instead of breaking the Republic's resolve, the brutal aggression only hardened it. When the conventional lines of the Tentara Nasional Indonesia, the TNI, were pushed back, the war transformed. Regular soldiers blended into the local population, joining forces with countless regional militias, student armies, and peasant groups. Together, they launched a ruthless guerrilla warfare campaign. They blew up bridges, ambushed Dutch supply lines under the cover of night, and practiced scorched earth tactics, burning down warehouses and infrastructure to ensure that the colonial forces gained absolutely nothing from their stolen territory. Every village became a stronghold, every jungle path a potential trap. The Dutch soon realized that while they could easily capture a city or a plantation on a map, they could not govern it. The sheer resilience and immense sacrifice of the Indonesian people transformed the conflict from a quick colonial police action into a grueling, exhausting war of attrition that caught the attention of the globe, gradually galvanizing international support for Indonesian sovereignty. The first aggression backfired spectacularly on the international stage, becoming a defining catalyst in the global perception of the Dutch-Indonesian conflict. The Netherlands had tried to frame Operatie Product as a purely internal police action to restore order, but the world saw it for what it truly was: an old colonial power attempting to brutally subjugate a sovereign nation by force. The unprovoked assault sparked widespread international outrage. Newly independent nations like India and Australia fiercely condemned the Dutch actions and brought the issue directly to the floor of the United Nations. For the first time in history, the United Nations Security Council officially intervened in a decolonization conflict, issuing a stark demand for a ceasefire in August 1947 and establishing a committee of good offices to mediate peace. The United States, initially hesitant, began to exert massive economic pressure on the Netherlands, threatening to cut off vital Marshall Plan aid if they continued their aggressive military campaigns. The first aggression fundamentally shifted the balance of power. It transformed the Indonesian Revolution from a lonely domestic struggle into a high-stakes international diplomatic battle, a critical shift that accelerated the momentum toward the ultimate recognition of Indonesian independence at the Round Table Conference.
The first Dutch aggression of 1947 remains a brutal, bloody, but entirely pivotal chapter in the historic fight for Indonesian independence. It was a moment where the young nation was tested in the fires of war and diplomatic betrayal, proving to the world that its sovereignty was not a gift to be granted, but a right to be fiercely defended. When analyzing the grand tapestry of decolonization, how do you assess the dual roles of armed military struggle versus international diplomacy? Could the Republic have survived without its unyielding guerrilla resistance on the ground? Or was it the pressure of global diplomacy that ultimately forced the colonial powers to back down? We want to hear your thoughts and insights, so please share your perspectives in the comments section down below. If you found this historical deep dive valuable, please hit that like button, share this video with a fellow history enthusiast, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you never miss another episode exploring the epic moments that have shaped our modern world. Thank you for watching, and we will see you in the next video.